34, start us off here. Introduce our podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Welcome to the Buttery Males podcast.
And he stuck the landing anyway. Yeah.
Wow. That was actually dope.
Right on.
Yeah.
Our new intro. We're gonna just play that every week.
We'll just have all the previous guests do like a pre-recorded intro for the show.
I might have to steal that idea, bro.
Honestly, no.
But if it's a little, you gotta coach him up a little bit.
You just come to our podcast for business ideas, don't you? Every time you come here.
It's a genius. This guy.
It's an added benefit, you know. So that's why I appreciate you guys inviting me. So thank you. I'm definitely honored to be back.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's make this official. I'm one of your hosts, Jake Demansky, and me as always. It's not like I'm the main host, but with me as always, we got Rob Morrissey and Jacob Boyer. What's up, guys? How's it going?
I'm doing good, Jake. Thanks for asking.
I'm doing all right. Although I don't know why you don't get it yet. I am not a host.
He's a guest.
I'm a guest. I'm just a guest.
That's how he avoids all the liability. That's how he avoids all the liability, because he's the one who has the closest takes out of all of us.
And when we get famous, it will bite me in the ass. But for now, I'm covering my ass. Okay.
Since you're a guest, can you introduce our fellow guests here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Returning guest, host of the 34 Questions podcast, and I think one of our favorite people online right now, Mr. 34. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, y'all. That was very kind. I'm shell shocked, you know. Like I don't do well with compliments, so I definitely appreciate you saying those kind words about me. But yeah,
you're more of a confrontation guy.
What's that?
You do better with confrontation, not compliments.
Actually, I'm terrible at both, so I don't know what kind of. I haven't determined what kind of guy. But yeah, but I'm doing well. You know, it's the middle of the summer. You guys know I work at a school, and I've just been enjoying our summer program right now. I've been, I think maybe I told you guys I was like teaching this class about how to be an adult, pretty much, and how to get jobs and do all these things. And one of our students was able to land a job, and she's actually leaving our program to start work next week, which is bittersweet, but it's pretty dope that we got her a job, and that was at least my goal. So doing good, doing good, man.
Yeah, that's really
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I wish we were supposed to have classes like that at our high school, but I think everyone was either too rowdy or the teachers didn't care that much. But man, I wish that's valuable stuff there.
I just remember one of those classes being like every week we just watched the Apprentice, Donald Trump's show. Our teacher loved Donald Trump. I wonder where she is right now. Like, I bet she was at the Jan 6 riots. Because she was like the first person I can think of in my life that was like very pro Donald Trump. And this is like 2009, 2010. Like, she was really early to the party for some reason.
Oh, Rob, that's actually kind of spooky.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to.
On that note, I think we're done.
That was a good transition. Come on.
That was a slam dunk. That was a slam dunk. Maybe a 10, maybe a 5 out of 10, but it was a slam dunk.
5 out of 10.
I missed the net. I missed the whole thing. I missed the hoop.
You missed the net, but yet you still somehow like smashed the glass behind the hoop.
Yeah, and the refs are still putting points on the board, even though he completely missed the net. No idea what's happening right now. Is this even basketball?
It was my first time off the bench, and I got too excited. But last time we had you on 34, we talked about just a bunch of stuff. Mostly, we actually talked about podcasting is what I realized.
The art of podcasting.
Towards the end, we hit on a subject that I know Jacob and I are kind of obsessed with, and it turns out you have some experience in as well. And it's just spooky stuff. just like having, like experience spooky things or having a love for spooky stuff, whatever that be, whether that be scary stories or hearing other people's scary experiences. I don't even know. Do you like horror movies? Well,
You know, I it's with anything that's like kind of scary. I always tell myself that I'm good. I'm down to do it. And then once I'm in it, I'm like, oh, this was a bad idea. So that's what I've realized about myself recently. And I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm more hesitant, but for sure, just love horror stories because I always want to know the purpose behind it, like behind the killing or behind the mystery. There's always that aspect to it. I think the only ones that truly scare me, I guess, are ones based off true stories or real life events and stuff. Because I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
real.
I know it's exaggerated and everything, but that still I think is what scares me about horror movies. To be honest, so.
I'm into horror movies. But I understand what you're talking about. Like it's not like I get scared by horror movies, but sometimes I will watch a horror movie and like after I will just feel like a type of way where I'm like, feeling like quite good or quite myself sometimes. Like sometimes that doesn't happen, but if I watch like Hereditary, like that movie, that like fucked me up after I watched it. I was like, I don't feel very good anymore.
Anything to do with like ancient demons really fucks
Yeah,
with me.
pretty
Like,
much.
any demon who's been kicking around for like thousands of years, and it's like, oh, I'm just one in the long line of people you fucked with. Really scares the shit out of me.
Like,
That's true.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I had nothing to add. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, when we had you on last time, you were like telling us about, like, besides horror movies and stuff like that, you've had some spooky experiences, have you not?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think some people would consider spooky. I think I told you guys about the Ouija board story, right? That was like, yeah, that was one of them. And then there was a phase. Well, like, I don't. You guys know sleep paralysis, right?
Oh yeah.
The whole thing. I don't know how much you guys experience it, but feel like I felt it enough times in my life where it's like it's something I'm familiar with. As far as when I have it, I'm just kind of like floating it consciously in this state of being frozen. And then sometimes it's like at least for a while there, I had no idea what it was. So it was just like a nightmare, right? Like, oh, had a nightmare where I couldn't move. But then I read more about it, and like some people do think it's demons, sitting on your chest and just messing with you. And then there's other people who just say, it's like this, your body's like just so tired that it can't move. Besides that, I think the scariest things that's happened to me is just like how I perceive situations. Like I remember as a kid, I always get this feeling like someone was watching me or someone was behind me, especially when I had to take the trash out. I don't know about y'all, but like as a little kid,
Oh
you have
yeah.
this like dark path towards a garbage, like because you're always taking out garbage at night for some reason. So I'd go out there, run as fast as I can.
Why do we do that? What the fuck is wrong with us?
But yeah, it's that feeling. It feels like I've someone told me I was a light spirit, and that means that supernatural stuff just likes to mess with me. I forgot if I could cuss or not in here, but
Okay.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
go for it.
Wait,
We don't care. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you can.
Well, let me restate that. Like supernatural spirits are like more likely to fuck with me. So
Oh, whoa, dude.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
You
went.
know how
I
much
went.
we pay for this podcast
No.
to get edited professionally every single week?
How much? Yeah, I probably need
It's
that. too.
$1,000 per curse. Okay.
No, Jesus
Every
Christ.
single time.
That's one expensive f bomb then.
It's all out of
Man.
my pocket too, because I fucking suck at transitions.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard it earlier. But if you're a light spirit, I must be a light spirit too, because I have some spooky experiences. But going back to sleep paralysis, is there anything you've seen that was like like would be maybe a hallucination that you like remember or like anything you've seen while having sleep paralysis that was like
Not
spooky?
for sure. I mean, definitely, the shadowy figure that you can't really make out at the corner of the room. I think I think that's what makes me kind of you know, maybe believe that it's a spirit, or I don't want to say it's a demon, because maybe spirits are like people. There's no one so truly bad or truly good. It's just like they're there and fucking
Right.
around. So but yeah, so
I
definitely
love to think
seen.
there's a support group of spirits who are like, we're really tired of getting called demons.
Yeah.
We're just trying to live, okay? Like, we're just trying to live our fucking lives right now, and all these people are constantly calling us the D word.
Yeah, it's like a
Jesus.
racial slur, basically. Um,
But,
that's-
I read a theory one time when I first found out what sleep paralysis was. It was like one of those like weird like pseudoscience videos, but apparently a lot of people believe that shadow people, for people who experience sleep paralysis, are other people from different dimensions trying to like interact with people in this dimension, which I thought was kind of interesting. But there's also a I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I remember watching there's a whole documentary on sleep paralysis on Netflix called The Nightmare, and
I watched that. Yeah,
it's really good. It's basically just a bunch of people talking about their sleep paralysis experiences, and then they hire like actors to like recreate it like from like their like POV, so you get to like experience their like nightmares as you see it, as they experienced it. It's fucking crazy.
Bro, should I tell y'all like some nightmares I had during sweet sleep paralysis? I
Oh
don't know.
hell yeah,
Yeah,
go for
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
What's it
I'll
called?
tell you some of mine after, so it's like an even trade. Because I have two, but go ahead.
So I mean, a common theme in my moments of sleep paralysis, I would say, is probably what's it called? I always get shot in the head, and like I start suffocating, and that's how I usually end up waking up. Like, but I have this real feeling that it's happening, and it's happened so many times in different dreams that it's just like I remember it, and I can talk about it. Um, but like also when I was a kid, at least when I was getting sleep paralysis, and I guess I was more easily scared at the time. But there was this one that I always like. I had a dream about my childhood house, and like being in there, and that I always seem to have every once in a while as I'm growing up, and it's trippy because like it's always kind of like the negative things that happen in the house, and I don't know why, but it just puts me in scenarios or in a place where like I really feel like this I don't want to call it negative, but just like a heavy feeling. I guess I don't know if that's my mind trying to process, the traumas of the house or anything. But yeah, so that's generally a couple things that happens when I'm in a sleep paralysis mode. Um, there was a certain point too when I was having it a lot where I tried to experiment, like, was it because I was sleeping on my back? Was it sleep because I was sleeping on my side? And for a while, I was believing like, oh, if I slept on my side, I'll be fine. But nah. And eventually, at some point, I had sleep paralysis on my side as well. So I can't escape it. I don't know when it happens.
The demons just roll me over onto my back.
Yeah, man, they want you to be comfortable. You feel me?
I thought a similar thing. Like, I thought if I slept on my stomach, it wouldn't happen to me. Because one time I had sleep paralysis, it was like very brief. I was on my back. I just like had just literally dozed off, and I looked up. It's in this room actually, and I looked up at the ceiling, and there was just a really big, like, a huge bug, massive bug, like bigger than a dinner plate, crawling on my ceiling, and I couldn't move. And then I was out of it very fast. But so I was like, oh, I think this only happens on your back. So one time I was sleeping on my stomach, and it might have been like the way I was sleeping, but my head was like hanging off the side of the bed. I like, no, this wasn't real. I like confirmed it with people in my house because it involved them, like this sleep paralysis dream. I was laying in my bed, and I wake up to my mom in my room, frantically upset about something, like shaking like something was very very wrong. She's like in a fluster saying things that I can't understand, like something she's like looking for something in my room. I like look up and I ask her what's wrong, what's wrong. She just leaves out of my door, out of my bedroom. I like dozed back off or whatever, and I woke up later in the day and I talked to her and I was like, "Did you come in my room earlier this morning, like really upset? Is everything okay?" And she was like, "No, I was at work. I wasn't even home." And but it really scared me. It seemed like something was
That's
seriously
wild.
wrong. It was really scary. Like it was like the way I would describe it was like very hereditary esque. Like there was some like sort of like it felt evil. Like I was like, oh boy, something's really bad here. Those were my only two experiences, and they seemed like it was never like I was somewhere else. It was like, yeah, I was in my room, and it seemed like it was really happening to me, but I guess it wasn't. You know?
I don't think that I've ever had sleep paralysis before, but I do like there was one dream that I had when I was really little that like kind of equates to that like a little bit like with that whole like you feel like you're awake but you're actually still asleep kind of thing where I don't remember how old I was, but my house was set up was like I was all of our bedrooms were like in this like one like end of the house, branching off this like one hallway. So like I was at the very end and my parents were the door right across from me, and then my younger sister was the room right next, like through the wall next to me. So there's a hallway dividing me and my parents, but I was like right up against my sister's room. And I have a really vivid memory of like my mom like tucking me in to go to bed, and I would always ask to have like the door cracked open a little bit and the hall light on because I was terrified of the dark. Um, and I remember trying to go to sleep, and then my younger sister was like singing or like playing or like doing something loud in her next room, and I yelled at her to be quiet, and then like instantly like it just got like completely still, and she started to cry and was like, "Mom,
Yikes.
he yelled at me, Mom," and then like it. Everything just felt wrong like as soon as I was like be quiet, like I don't know how to describe it. Like I yelled be quiet, and then she like something about like the length of time in between me yelling and her responding felt weird, and that freaked me out. So I like got under like the covers, and I heard my mom like come into my room to like yell at me, and then it felt like I blinked and I took the covers off, and it was just the next morning. And I don't remember going.
Whoa! Oh my god!
I don't remember going to sleep at all. But I must have at some
Dude.
point. I don't know if that was a dream or what, but it like that's always messed with me. Like I don't know that that's technically sleep paralysis because I do remember like being able to like I obviously like I yelled out and I pulled the covers over my head, but like that's still it's like I don't know that's something. It certainly
Can
is
I
something.
I actually have a spooky story that happened to me that involves a very, very similar thing to what you just said, Jacob, about putting your head over, like putting the covers over your head.
hmm
Um, before I dive into this, I do just want to like ask. So, 34, you seem like you're somewhat spiritual, right? Like,
I,
you
I
know,
I would consider myself. I don't want to brag, but yeah.
okay.
Go ahead.
You told us you had the experiences with the Ouija board on previous episodes, and
Mhm.
we should get into that at some point. But
Hell yeah.
um, I do just want to ask, like, just straight up, like, and like, I'm not judging at all because I have my own opinions about this. Do you believe in like ghosts and, you know, even a separate category? This is two questions practically. Do you believe in like possibly cryptids or aliens or things like that? Like, where do you stand on all of those things?
Dude, honestly, I think a lot of things are possible. Like, it's one of those things where just because we can't prove it doesn't mean it's not real. In my mind, it's just I think there's a lot more going on. I can't, and I don't want to claim and speak anything because I know that I know nothing about the extra stuff that's going on. But yeah, I am very open to those things, and that's why I think I'm considered a light spirit. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm with you. I believe in. strange things. Like I definitely think aliens are real one way or another.
Yeah.
Like existence of tardigrades, the fact that these microscopic animals like microbes can live and like actually just kind of convert into like their own what would you call that hibernation without like liquids and just like survive until they hit liquids later, like say it's they can travel in space and they can survive anything and like basically die and come back to life, so that they can be anywhere. That's enough proof for me that aliens could exist. But this story I'm about to say kind of relates to what you're talking about, Jacob, and it definitely relates with possibly aliens. And so,
That's exactly what I thought, man. I was like, Jake went through an alien experience, and you probably because you said you had a similar
I've
story.
had two weird alien experiences in my life, both in their own way. Like one with people, and we witnessed it happen, and like it was so weird because I'll get into that one later. But this first one.
Was that the first one did you mention that story on the podcast before? I don't want to say too much for risk of spoiling it. The whole thing with like
I don't know with
your eyes and whatnot.
34 here.
Well, yeah, but
did
like,
I mention anything like that to you? 34.
Oh no, I don't think about the eyes.
Or anything? All right, then we might want to recap on this shit. But this first one has to deal with like weird sleep, possibly a dream, possibly not, and I'll explain and I'll get to why it is very freaky. One night I was sleeping, and in the middle of the night, an aerial light came down through my window shades. And at first, I like rolled out of bed and I was really tired. I didn't quite roll out of bed. I just like was in my bed and I could like be at my window in my bed and like peek up shades. And my first thought was, is that the porch light? No, that's not. I'm looking at the porch light. It is on, but the front yard is like slightly lit up right now, more than the porch light is able to do. This light seems like it's so high up I can't like quite look as to where it is. And it like was concerning me, but was this heaviness of sleep that was over me that I woke up later, that morning. I thought about it and I was like, that is really unlike me. Like I would have, usually if there's something wrong, I would get out of bed and investigate. It was like sleep was like a blanket of sleep was over top of me. I looked up and I couldn't keep my eyes open and I just passed out. And went to school later that day. I'm in middle school. I'm in 8th grade. And I tell my friends about this. I go, something really weird happened last night. I don't know if it was a dream or not, but there was an aerial light above my window coming into my room, and I was just too tired to give a shit about it. And my one friend just pauses. He like just stops. He's like, "Oh, last night that happened to me. I live on the 3rd floor of my house. I remember there was an aerial light coming through my window. I was too tired to care about it. I just fell back asleep." And so there was no further investigation, but it was like one of these things where it just didn't feel right. Like I don't know, something was really wrong about the whole thing. Like I feel like I would have normally given a shit about that. Like woken up and like looked on the ground in my room and there was a spider in my room, and I will like stay up until I get that spider out of my fucking room. Like this really weird thing that happens, I just for some reason didn't give a shit about it. And if you like hear about people who have these alien experiences, these abductees, let's call them, say that they have that exact feeling of like something weird is happening, but they're too tired for some reason to give a shit when normally they wouldn't be like that. So it's really strange. Like I don't know. That's one story.
You and your friend missed out on being a part of the new Men in Black. They were trying to recruit the two of you, and you just chose to sleep through it.
This is a separate story that involves what you were talking about, Jacob, with putting your head under the covers. I woke up, same house, everything, maybe even the same year. No idea. But
I was the other friend. We just hadn't met each other yet.
I was sleeping and I woke up in the middle of the night to my door opening. The reason I knew my door was open was because if the door was open to my room, the hall light would bleed in through my room. So I'd be seeing light coming in to my door or into my room. And I turned to see what it was, and I looked, and there was a transparent old lady standing in the wind of my fan, and she had a transparent dress that was blowing in the wind of my fan. I felt very awake here. I felt like I was with it 100%. I looked at her and I screamed as loud as I could. And I threw my head under the covers and I just stayed there. Before I knew it, it was morning, and it happened in like a blink of an eye.
Christ.
Like it felt like it just snapped into morning.
Yeah.
And it was really crazy. Like it was one of those feelings, like you said, Jacob, like I don't know if I was asleep. I didn't feel like I went to sleep at all, but it just time was lost.
You can't pin down the moment where it's like, okay, well, here's where I would have fallen asleep if I did. Like there's no transitionary period.
I was like deeply scared like that morning. Like I made my mom, like I couldn't get out of bed. I kept like the covers over me. I asked my mom to come in and like touch me. I was like, Mom, just like, you real? Like,
are you real?
Just like, is this real? Is any of this real?
Dude, how old were you when that happened?
Probably like 13 or 14.
Oh, I was a lot younger. I was probably like kindergarten age when that happened, if not maybe a year or two younger.
Jeez.
I was really little.
It was super freaky. But those are like two visceral experiences like that were just, I don't know, they've stuck with me forever. Still remember what this lady looked like, and actually way my mom tried comforting me was it was like 5 days later, this my old neighbor's grandma who used to babysit me as a kid, she passed away 5 days later. This lady did look like her. My mom tried comforting me by saying, like, you know, her spirit was going like person to person in the night to like her loved ones to say goodbye.
Bad fucking mom.
And no, but it did kind of like comfort me because I was like, it did look a lot like her. Like she didn't, like I was so scared. She herself wasn't a threatening presence. Like, and did not look scary at all, actually. She looked like a modern day, like, grandma. Like, truly. She had glasses, she had a perm. She was wearing, like, a nightgown. I don't know why, but, like, there was nothing
she had a
about
Kindle.
her that was
She was
scary.
asking me how to use Facebook. Modern day grandma.
Yeah. But there was, like, she herself wasn't threatening. It was the fact that, like, my reality had just broken. That I was like, I'm scared. Like, I'm really scared. I didn't think this could happen.
I am personally too heavy of a sleeper to ever experience stuff like this. Like,
aliens can poke and prod.
Really. Like, I feel like the aliens have probably come down and been like, this guy is unfazed. Like, he is just dealing with all the shit we're putting him through right now. Ghosts are like banging pans in my room right now, and I'm just fully asleep. Like, my girlfriend there was a time when I was like, I didn't wake up for work. Like, I slept through my alarm, and she's a super light sleeper, so my alarm woke her up. And like I'm like a half hour late to work at this point. I'm not waking up, and she like literally started hitting me to like try to get me to wake up, and I didn't fucking wake up at all. I just slept through it. So yeah, I could have seen crazy shit. Like, there could have been insane things in my room for my entire life, and I never would have known.
It's like getting tossed around the room by like a poltergeist. And
Exactly.
I mean, would you guys ever be one of those people that sets up a camera while you sleep and then see if anything like
I've thought of it, but
happens?
Not really. There was a
don't want to do that.
I would need something to happen for me to get to that level.
There's a I don't know.
That's a scary thought, actually. Just that idea. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
I don't remember what the place is called, but there is there's it's like an old hotel in I don't remember where you guys know where Peddler's Village is, Rob and Jake. It's like out in our neck of the woods. It's like an hour or so. I
No
want to
idea.
it's I think it's in like New Hope ish area, like right on the Pennsylvania Jersey border. If I had to guess, I think that's where it is. But they have there's a hotel out there, like a historic hotel that is like it gets featured in like those ghost adventure shows all the time, where it's like one of the most haunted places in the country or whatever. And I thought like and it like you can rent the room that is supposedly the most haunted room in the building where the most activity happens and all that. And I've thought on more than one occasion, I was like, I have a lot of cameras and audio equipment. What if I just rented this room for a night and I recorded myself sleeping, but then I always chicken out at the last second? It doesn't help that you have to book the room like 6 months in advance because apparently everyone tries to do that. But no, I've thought about it.
But it's their most expensive room too.
Probably.
I bet the other normal rooms are like $150 a night. This room's like $800 a night.
I would do that. If I had a haunted building, I would rent out that room all the time and be like, come try and prove that this isn't haunted.
Oh, God bless you. I guess I don't know. That's too scary.
We definitely.
Oh, I wouldn't live in that building. I would just rent it out.
Oh yeah, no. I wouldn't go there. I would hire people to manage that building for me. I would never. You wouldn't catch me there. We benefited from like being on the East Coast. Like when my dad moved out of the house I grew up in, he moved onto a property that was like had like a 400-year-old stable on it, and it's so old where it's like, oh yeah, like people have died here. There's no way people haven't died on this property just by virtue of the age and the times that it was active. And that property is, I think I've talked about it on the show before, that's the property where I've had the most experiences with ghosts or like some sort of supernatural thing. So we're definitely, I don't want to say lucky, but like 34, growing up on the West Coast, you've only got like 150 years of activity going on.
Forgetting about Native Americans and
exactly, shit. And you know, that's what I was thinking.
They all go to heaven. They all make it past the barrier. We've all seen Westworld season 2.
Semi-unrelated, but Ricky Gervais has that really good joke. It's like, I wonder why we never see cavemen ghosts. It's always Victorian era ghosts.
There's a BBC show that Jazz watches. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about a like house in the UK that's haunted, and that's actually, I gotta say, maybe they're ripping off the Ricky Gervais. Jesus. Maybe they're ripping off the Ricky Gervais. Yeah.
I know what show you're talking about. Yeah.
They have a caveman ghost in that show, and maybe one of the like most interesting jokes of the whole show is this caveman just being like, "I'm the owner. I've been here the longest. Like, why do all of you think you're the owner of this property right now?"
I don't want to get too far off topic. I do kind of like need you to refresh me, 34, on like your like what was that Ouija board experiences, because I haven't listened back to that episode in a bit since it came out, but I know you said you had some spooky experiences. Whether it was with the Ouija board or not, do you have any you feel like sharing or?
Yeah, no, for sure. Sorry, if you see me looking up something, I was actually looking up for this video that my old coworker showed me. She used to work at this old building in San Francisco I think it's called the Women's Building, like as simple as it is. Did my camera go off? Or no? I'm good.
No men allowed in this building.
I've had it too good for too long.
I think it was called the Women's Building. So I was looking for the video, I couldn't find it. But she showed me it because when she worked there, it was like a bar type thing at night sometimes. So they close up like around 3 a.m. and like there's a little girl that's in the building that like walks up to like the door, and then she sees somebody start like coming back, which was like the janitor, and then she runs away from the door, and like that was something that's if I could find a video so I could show you guys, because she was telling me that was the experience that like solidifies everything for her, and I'm
There's
like,
actual
honestly,
footage of that happening.
dude, I'm trying to look for the video because it's a
Oh my
security
God.
camera that caught it, dude, and it was like a little girl totally
That's
like.
how ghosts are always avoiding like the steady cam, like professional videographers. It's the security cameras that tell the truth,
exactly.
okay?
They're avoiding
They're all James
steady
Bond, yeah.
cams, but they're also avoiding that janitor. It sounds like that
Yeah.
sucks. But no,
But
continue.
yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off with my dumb shit.
No, you good, you good. So I was looking for. I don't think honestly I can find it right now. If I ever can get the footage, I'll send it to you guys, and you
Please
guys
do.
can bring it up in a future episode. But the Ouija board story. I think I went into great detail about it before, but basically I was open to it. Me and my friends did it on Halloween night because, of course, if you're gonna do it, go big.
Classic,
And
yeah.
then
I'm too scared,
We-
but yeah, I agree.
I don't know what it was, man. We were in college. This was a homie that was really into being open to that kind of stuff. So he's like, "You down? I'm down." Me, him, and his girl did it. And then at the time, at least, and then we did it, and yeah, I got all up into it because it knew my name. It knew like how many people were in the room. We asked it how many spirits was in the room. It said it more than the number of people in the room. So
Oh,
I was good after that first experience.
it felt
so,
like,
like-
no one in particular was moving the thing, right?
Well, not to us three at the time. We were very
Yeah.
like, oh my God, it's happening. I mean, the trippy thing is that like when you're in the Ouija board, and you do it correctly, where you do the chant and stuff, it starts moving in an infinity symbol on the board, right? Like it's like waiting for a question,
Okay.
which is super interesting, right?
It is wild.
But
Loading or
so
some shit.
I was gonna say it's like the spinning wheel on a MacBook.
Yeah.
for sure. So the next couple days after that, I think it was just I was stuck on it. I was thinking to myself like, why don't we do this all the time? So I asked my friends, "Do you guys down to do it again?" So we did like the next couple days after. But then this time, since we were like so skeptical, we did an experiment where we would switch off partners because you always had to at least have two people doing it, and it wouldn't move unless I was on it. So that's where I
Well,
was
that's
like,
right. I actually
Yeah.
am remembering that detail now.
exactly.
That's so freaky.
To everybody else, they think it's fake because they could blame me. But for me, I can't blame anybody because I know it wasn't me. So I just so
Goddamn.
happen to be the person that believes that if you do it correctly, yeah. And one thing that's scary for me is that I want to believe that my friend was like smart enough to do the correct like ending chant, because that's what they say is dangerous. Is when you don't do that ending chant. That's when
it
they continue to
follows
mess with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I believe that. Yeah, it was all good, but then I also don't have like 100%. It's not a 100% guarantee. I wanted to give it a 99% to make me feel good about it. But if I ever get messed around with spirits like that, I always just think, let me have a conversation. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like, why
I
are
talk myself
you-
out of this one.
Yeah.
The spirit, you're like,
Like,
whoa,
I
buddy,
can
we
help
can
you.
work this
Listen,
out.
yeah, we can talk this out. You don't need to do any creepy shit. Just let me know. Like,
Down the
what do you
blood
need me to do?
sword.
Yeah, like
I'll be like,
there's
I'm sure we have a lot of things in common.
yeah.
Honestly, like,
and like I would. How well do you know yourself?
yeah, yeah, but
yeah. You start spinning the question
Yeah.
wheel.
On 34's next episode, it's like with a demon.
The demons of
Yeah.
Salzar.
So scary.
34 questions featuring
Oh,
the
fuck.
demons of Salzar.
But
I,
yeah, so
It's like
I've never done
the
Ouija
lo-fi
board.
the lo-fi music with the so how well do you know yourself, and then this just demonic screech that's unintelligible. Like,
Oh shit!
I'm like, really?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like a screech. It's like, I know myself pretty well. I think a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Do it.
He just has to punctuate every thought with the screech. Sorry, Rob. What were you saying?
Gosh.
I've never done a Ouija board in any real like. One time I like fucked around with one with some people, but we were high and we didn't do any chants or anything. We were just like, what's the deal here? You know, we found it in like his older brother's room. But I think like I've made it very, very apparent on this podcast that I'm open to selling my soul if there's any demons out there who are looking to give out fame and fortune for a single soul.
There's other guys in this podcast episode. We're not into that. I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, that's just me. It's just
Rob,
me.
it's just
Just
Rob.
for the record, like. But I think if I got into a situation where I had some like true believers and it got to the point where we're like getting answers back and it was happening, I'm the guy who would fuck it up and be like, enter me now, like I want the power, okay, I want all the power.
The power.
You'd be instantly their leader after that, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I want followers for sure. Like,
That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
That's how this podcast gets famous. It's just we become really hip with the demon community.
well, your special guest Rob does, so you know you guys
That's
keep
true.
that
Yeah.
different. It works out for you too.
Things get too scary. You could not come on as.
Yeah.
But
or I'm just floating around the room. You're like, Rob, I can't get your levels. You're not even like
You're
near
not
the
like-
mic right
Stay near
now.
the mic, God.
Just like mumbling Latin to himself under
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
breath as he like meditates and like floats around the room.
I was gonna say, you can make a Ouija board out of anything. I don't know if you guys knew that. Like, you could do it with
Yeah.
a piece of paper, just write out the how it's formed, and then use a shot glass, and it'll do the chant. It should work. That's what they say, anyways. So
My aunt, she's like too heavily like I'm actually not too heavy into Christianity, but like she is into this side of Christianity that's like full of like apocrypha. So it's like stuff that's not really in the Bible either.
Mhm.
It's like just things people have come up with over time. And she is like, when I was a little kid, like really young, she was like scared the shit out of me with Ouija boards. She was like, yeah, if you don't close it out right, you're gonna be haunted, and never burn a Ouija board. Or maybe it is burn a Ouija board. I don't know. I don't remember the rules, so there's no way I'm just going into this shit. But
You gotta have a
I'm
refresher.
knowing
course
me, I'm
with your
gonna
aunt.
accidentally summon like the worst of them all. Beelzebub. I don't
Beelzebub.
want that.
I've only ever had one experience with a Ouija board, and I don't think it was a genuine experience. It was when I was younger. I worked at the like local like community pool, and we had a thing once a summer where like the staff, like the lifeguards, the concession people, like we would all do like a slumber party at the pool, like set up tents, like a girls' tent, a boys' tent. They would like rent like a movie projector thing. There, we'd like get to like swim in the pool after hours when it was dark out and all that. And as the night was winding down, somebody brought out a Ouija board. I don't remember who. I didn't touch it myself. I just kind of watched, but it was I think the guy who brought it out was one of them, and then like other people would swap in and out. To like
one of them, he was a demon.
Yeah, it was one of them, but like, it was him the whole time, and other people would like come in, I guess, to be like, no, he's not faking it. Like, but what happened? Like, there was a rumor that a couple years prior to all of us working there, that like an older guy had a heart attack in the men's bathroom and didn't die on the property, but was like died later, and that the bathroom was then haunted. Like that night was the first I had heard of that rumor, so I think that was just something that was made up on the spot. But all of the like the younger the 13, 14-year-old kids who were just looking for like a summer job to like get whatever, like they're like 25 an hour. We're like just fell hook, line, and sinker for all of this, and we're like, oh my god, and we're freaking out when the guy was moving it around, and I didn't think he was faking it. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, but I wasn't too scared. And then like one of his buddies like pulled a couple of like us older kids aside, and we're like, dude,
Hey, you want to
like,
try drugs?
no, pulled one of us aside and pulled us aside and was like, listen, one of you needs to go into the men's bathroom and just start slamming shit around really loud and scare these little kids. And we were like, no, we're not gonna do that. Like, we should have, because that would have been hilarious. But no, I don't think it was genuine because there was that energy of like we should fuck with these little kids. I think it was just those guys wanted an excuse to like scare a bunch of the younger kids who were working there.
Dude, have you guys ever scared people like that with like a prank or anything? Or
I used to like this isn't really a deep prank, but every time I would hang out with my older cousin, like would just like quickly escape his sight and then just scare the fuck out of him, like just hide somewhere for a while in complete silence and scare him. But nothing deeper than that.
I think I did one as a
I hate
kid.
hanging out with Jake.
It did become that eventually.
It's like goes over to Jake's house and he knocks on the door and the door just slowly creaks open, and then Jake jumps out in a scary mask from behind the door. I don't think I've ever
what were you
really
saying?
done a prank like that. Sorry, someone was talking before. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, I do want to hear if you guys done any pranks as well. But when I was a kid, when my friends would we'd have our sleepovers, like I want to say 12 years old. I remember that my cousin had like these China dolls, those glossy ass dolls.
Great starting point.
Made out of glass. So one night we were like watching scary movies, and then I had my cousin like come to the door and like knock on the door, and then I had one of my friends basically open it up with the China dolls like sitting out there in the front. Yeah, I don't know if that was that mean, because it's one of those things where it's like, oh shit, but he realizes that it's just a prank. But for someone to just see a doll there when they open a door, I think I would get totally freaked out too.
That would scare the shit out of me. That would truly fuck with me so bad. Oh.
Well, remember not to do. I grew out of that phase, so.
Don't do that to me, please. Please don't.
You're gonna get a package one of these days. You're gonna open it up, and there's gonna be a China doll in the mail.
Yeah, that would be fine, I guess. It's in the mail. Like, if I get a knock on the door and it's a China doll, that's a different story.
And then your cousin and 34 jump out from behind the corner and scare you. No, this is revenge for all the.
I'm actually gonna hit up your cousin right now and be like,
No, please. I do have 2 quick spooky stories because I know I don't want to take up all your time. But
I never pranked anybody. Really quick, that was the end of my
sorry.
thought. Yeah, no.
I don't think I ever did either. I mean, there's like the Halloween stuff of like, we're trick or treating in this neighborhood. We know this kid lives here. We're gonna like try to scare him, but I don't think we ever. I'm not good at pranks. Like I'm not clever enough to like prank people like that.
Not really like a scary prank, but like this past 4th of July, I had a box of those like little, I don't know what they're called, those little like Hershey Kiss things that you like whip at the ground and they pop.
I'm very familiar.
My mom is super jumpy, so I just kind of like every now and again while she was doing other stuff, I would just throw one under her feet. And she would
not spooky at all, but like the last 2 weeks at my work, we've just been throwing those at each other, no joke. Like all the people at my job have just like it's middle school would just have a pocket full of those, and we just have been fucking throwing them at each other all week in front of customers too.
Like the customers join in.
regular thing we do that no one's supposed to think is weird.
And the
Ruining
customers
sales.
asked to join in,
Yeah.
too. Sorry, Jake. You
Yeah.
said the 2 stories you wanted to get to.
Yeah, well, the one I just mentioned, we mentioned at the top of the episode was like one alien story, and then one I've actually said on the podcast before, but I was witness to people's reactions that scared me. It actually scared me more than anything I've ever seen firsthand. First one, this was like 2 years ago. Went hiking with my friends, and basically we saw a very bright object, basically like 50 feet away from us in the tree line of the mountains of where we were hiking. And we were standing there just stunned, and we were looking at it like, what is that? Is that the sun? Like, what is, like, the sun's over there, so what is that? It was like quiet, didn't make a noise, just hovered through the tree line. And like, you know, in like a PowerPoint, how you like can close out of a slide from like the angle or whatever, and it just closes into the next slide, like that slide's gone. Just closed out of existence, just gone in front of us. And we were really just kind of freaked out by it. Like, I was actually scared. We were talking about it. We were all asking each other, what did you see? Like, did you see this? And we all confirmed we saw the same thing. It was some really bright floating thing very close to us. And after like 5 minutes of just talking, we decided to just keep walking the trail. And not even like 4 or 5 minutes later, again ahead of us a little bit, up in the tree line again, same shit. And I'm really scared now. I have this like feeling in me, like it feels like I could just get snatched away. I'm thinking UFO. I'm thinking this thing is so close to me, it could just come up to me, snatch me, and no one would be able to do anything to help me at all. And so I'm getting like really freaked out. I'm not saying anything. I'm just watching this thing. Does it again. Just closes out of existence. It's gone. It's not like the tree line is so thick we can't see behind the tree line. We can see everything behind the tree line. We can see the mountains behind it. We can see buildings back there. We're starting to think, oh, this has to be a reflection from like windows in, like from buildings or something. But the fact that it's moving in the tree line while we're standing still and then just disappears, it's like really freaking us out. And I'm like talking to them. I'm like, I kind of want to turn back. I'm shook. Like I just want to go home. But they convinced me it's like something on the other side of the mountain that's making this reflection or whatever. And we walk a little bit ahead again, and it happens a third time. And yeah, and like this time we're all just kind of like, this, we don't know what that is. Like it's like in a different spot every time. It's disappearing just out of reality. It's just going away. It's just, and nothing happened to us. We left the mountain, and it was just really freaky. And like we talk about it to this day. And my one friend is like, that just couldn't have been a UFO. Like that had to be like something, that had to be a reflection or something. And the other one's kind of unsure. He's like, I don't know what that was. That was just a weird experience. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I have no idea what that was. It was just really fucking freaky, whatever it was. But
there's something about seeing weird shit in nature that just hits different because you just feel so out of your element in a weird way. Like...
I was truly scared. Like I just don't know. Some people have a deep fear of aliens. Like my one friend, he's saw that movie Fourth Kind or whatever. It's like a really scary alien movie, and it like scared the shit out of him. I never thought that stuff was very scary at all until this thing happened to me recently. It's just like, oh yeah, I guess if aliens were real and they were portrayed in that way, they could just, take you and you'd just be gone possibly forever, and no one could help you. Like no one could help you. But
oh, I was gonna
34. No one can help you.
I could help you, bro. No. I was gonna say, have you guys heard of that show, People from Earth?
No.
What is that?
Yeah.
No.
It's a short-lived, like only 2 seasons. Had a lot of potential, 2 or 3 seasons.
That
It's on
TBS?
Hulu. What's up?
Is
Yes,
it
it
on
was on
TBS?
TBS.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
You've seen it?
I
So
have. Yes.
yeah, it's like a support group for people who have alien encounters.
Yep.
And then there's like a journalist who's like investigating it, but it's a comedy and it's very like campy, very like warm-hearted with the storylines. I would highly suggest you guys checking it out because it'll give you a lighter perspective on
It's like
maybe
a
your
goofy
experiences.
gray alien who like is
Yeah.
just kind of like a normal dude. Yeah, I
So they have the lizard people, the grays, which are the short gray aliens, and then they have the whites. They call them the whites, but they're just aliens that have like long flowy hair and they have white hair. And then there's another alien, but it's like the three renditions that we normally hear of. They're all like working together. So pretty interesting.
I'll have to check that
That's
out.
who I saw. That's who I saw in the woods that
You
day.
saw
It was
all three of them, yeah, at once.
Dude, they were fucking with me, and they were making these campy jokes. It sucked.
But yeah,
the,
definitely check it out.
the last story. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm making this all about me.
No,
now,
no,
but
no.
This is a freaky story, and I think it is kind of interesting. Um, I was like 15 or maybe 14. I was kind of young. Um, I went camping with my dad and a bunch of his friends, and there was a bunch of kids varying like all ages. It was like 5 to like 17, and just a bunch of kids, like maybe 12 to 14 kids. And at night, we all played a game of Manhunt. Are you familiar with what Manhunt is? It's like a game of tag. Basically.
Okay.
But if the tagger gets you, you have to.
It's like
I'll play 'em
tag
as a
and
tagger.
tag and hide and seek, and it's usually people play it at night because it's easier to hide. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, imagine like you go to like a park at dusk or whatever, and it's like okay, you guys all hide, and I'm gonna come and find you, and then when I find you, you have to help me find everyone else. Last
Oh, that's
person
dope.
standing kind of
That
thing.
sounds hella fun.
It's
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
fun. It
Yeah.
used to be one of my favorite games. I'm just too old now to play it. It's not like this experience like forever ruined Manhunt for me. I'm just too old now. But I'd play with you guys if you wanted to play. So I do this thing like there's a big bonfire at the center of camp. There's all these RVs and tents and everything, and we're on like a farm property. There's like a dirt road, and on either side of the dirt road, there's a cornfield on one side, and on the other side, there's an electric fence and then cow pastures. And so I do the hiding in plain sight thing. There's a big bush near the bonfire, and I just hide in there. And so I'm watching everyone, get tagged, and a massive group of people has formed, and they're looking for me. I'm the last person left. And see them get close to me, they turn away. They start walking down this dirt road away from the bonfire into the darkness. And as I'm waiting, I'm all giddy. I'm like, you didn't catch me. My happiness quickly turns into sheer fear because all of those kids, except for the very oldest kid, they come running back, screaming and crying like bloody murder. And I just hop out of the bush because I'm just like, whoa, what the hell's going on? They're all running to their parents. Their parents are asking them what's going on. Talking to the oldest one who's older than me. I'm like, what happened? What's going on? Dude, gnarly bro, this shit. No, he didn't sound like a surfer guy. But, every kid said this, including this older kid. Said as they're walking down the dirt road, coming across the electric fence, like over it, walking right across all of them across the dirt road through the cornfield was what they described as a giant, like a massive gorilla-looking like thing with a yellow raincoat on it, and it turned and looked at them, and it had no facial features at all, and then continued into the cornfield. And it's just such a weird thing to me. All of it is so weird that it actually scared me more than like someone saying they would see Slender Man or something, or someone saying they saw Bigfoot in general. Like it was so like out of my imagination that it just like fucked with me like so
Yeah.
badly. And
Oh,
know that
I
was really
imagine
scary.
I imagine a gorilla like, I guess gorilla like object or not object for gorilla like figure with a raincoat with no face, right? That's what you're describing.
It was the real life
That's what
Curious
they
George.
described to me. Yeah, it was Curious George, all grown up, becoming a cosmic horror.
They were all playing a prank on you, bro. Like they were all in on it.
Yeah, that's how they
Oh,
got you to.
they were the best
yeah.
actors possible because they were crying, like tears uncontrollably coming
It
down
was
their
tears
face.
of joy because
heaving
they
and hoeing.
were like, we finally beat Jake at Manhunt. We finally found a strategy.
We
that
couldn't
Yeah.
find him the
Yeah.
traditional method. We had to go to psyops tactics and
Yeah, I forgot to
scare him
mention-
out of hiding.
I forgot to mention I've never been caught once in my life in Manhunt, so yeah, this does make sense that this is how they would have gotten me.
I had a very not the visual of what you described. I had a similar thing happen to me a few years ago where my ex at the time we lived in like a really like rural part of the town that we were like the outskirts of town. We were surrounded by like corn on three sides, and then there was like so very very like farmy kind of deal. And it was not super late at night, maybe like 8-9 o'clock. She had just gotten into like working out and dieting, and we had a Planet Fitness that was only like a half a mile away from us down the road, like as it started to get into like the busier part of town. And she would work kind of later into the evening, so we really the only time that we could go out together and work out would be like 7-8 o'clock at night. So we were coming out of our door to go like cross this like big patch of grass to get to her car, and then the way that the road was set up, like you could see like the road was like was like straight, like a couple like maybe mile and a half you could see into the distance, and there was obviously like a street lamp every so often, but it was dark enough that you couldn't really see anything that wasn't like around that a street lamp. And we were making like it was small talk as we're walking to the car, and then she just stops dead in her tracks, and I'm like, what? And I like follow her gaze, and they're like maybe like 250 feet away from us, under like the light of one of these street lamps, was like it looked like a cat, but it was really like big and not like a mountain lion, because like we kind of have those like in this part of Pennsylvania, but like it just didn't look like a mountain lion. It was like a really big like cat looking creature, and it was just kind of, it didn't look at us, but it was just kind of hanging out under the light. And then it was like low to the ground, but then it like pushed up off of the ground, and it was very tall, and then it just kind of went off into the corn. And my girlfriend verbatim was like, maybe we don't go to the gym tonight, and then turned around and walked in, and we started to walk back, and then on the way back she I'm kind of like nervous laughing, like, yeah, let's just go back inside. And then she goes, what was that? And then like right as she finished saying what was that, we heard like a roar, like in the like a like in the distance, and we just closed the distance to the door, and we went inside, and like that was yeah, we didn't go out at night much after that. Unless the corn was completely cut down and we could see for miles in any direction.
There's something
See,
in the corn.
There's something in the corn. I'm glad I don't live there anymore, because that place
Cornfields are fucking terrifying.
that place was really creepy at night, especially in the fall.
Dude, that's something I've never really seen or really experienced. We don't have cornfield like that out here.
Yeah.
So I mean,
There have been a handful of times I've gotten lost in cornfields, and those are some of the scariest fucking
There was
experiences you can
there was a an apple orchard that we like. It was a thing to go because it was the same town that I went to college in, so that was like a thing to do in the fall. Was like, oh, let's go down to this apple orchard, and like you could get like really cheap produce and all that. Like the big thing for the college student was that you could like pay to shoot bad apples out of like an air cannon and like hit hay bale targets like a couple 100 feet away. But they also had two corn mazes. One was like a scary one that wasn't really a maze, like it was more like just a guided trail, and occasionally someone would jump out and scare you. And then there was a normal one that was like an actual like maze that you had to like figure out your way out of. And we never did like the scary one, but like even just the one where it's like you had to figure your way out of it, like there's just like we would do it mostly like as it was like starting to get like to like evening, like dusk time, and like something about it, like even though we knew no one was going to jump out and scare us, it's like it's still like really weird and creepy.
Say,
sure.
closing thoughts, like something about that corn, and you maybe want to
Something
stay
about
away
that
from
corn.
the corn.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold you too long, 34, because we are hitting that hour. We hit that hour limit already, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. But
Let's do it gracefully,
do it gracefully, and we'll just end it right here. All right. Good.
Any closing spooky thoughts or experiences we want to share? Keep it short.
I got none. I said all my piece. I said my piece.
I got a really good one that might be good to end on. So my current girlfriend, we both like horror movies and scary stuff. She's very she's a bit more spiritual than I am. She believes in sort of like the energies, and like there could be like something else out there. I'm kind of on the fence about whether I really believe that or not. But like we talk sometimes about because we like going to places like Gettysburg that's like known to have like haunted stuff about it, like ghost tours and whatnot. I've mentioned it on the podcast before. We had a spooky experience at a Gettysburg hotel where we learned about the ghost of this like little boy who would untie people's shoelaces, and then at the end of the tour I looked down and one of my shoelaces was untied, and we had stopped like right next to his portrait, like fucking wild. But I've told that I think I've told that story a couple times on the podcast, but like this particular instance was like we like doing like ghost tours and stuff like that, so I've pitched the idea to her a few times of like, what if we do like, because there's a bunch of like places in our part of Pennsylvania that are within driving distance that are like people are like, oh yeah, here are good haunted attractions to check out. So I'm like, we should just do that. Like set aside a weekend and we'll just drive from place to place and we'll just do like a bunch of ghost tours. We'll like take pictures, see if we find anything, and there was one stop in particular that I pitched to her where there's a location for you, Robin, and Jake. It's kind of in the Hellertown area, like north of Hellertown in the middle of the woods, called Hexenkopf Rock, which is apparently like straight out of Blair Witch, where like old-timey like 1600s 1700s era witches would like do rituals and all that, and it's apparently on private property, but it is super easy to get to, and the owner doesn't really mind too much if people come out and look at it. So I was like, we should go out like into the woods and check that out, like see if there's anything weird out there. And she gave me one look and she was like, fuck no, we're not gonna do that. The exact thing that she said that was like, she's like, we as two pasty white people are not going to go out in the woods and do the whole like, oh my god, what was that noise, I better check it out. Her exact words were, the caucasity of you to think that we should do something like that.
Wow.
I
Do you have
mean,
any scary stories to end on, or any last words?
oh, for me or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys ever did
Dude,
like Bloody Mary or anything like that growing up as a kid.
I was very afraid of that as
Yeah,
a kid, but
same.
go on.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was scared of it too, man. Something about staring into the mirror You know, I don't know, like my imagination just runs like crazy. So if I'm looking in the mirror in the dark, I'm seeing almost everything, bro. And like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's one of the scariest things. As far as like the Ouija board, I think mirrors in the dark, no bueno. Even though I have one, like there's, I don't know if you guys believe in feng shui, but my girlfriend gets on me for having a mirror like in front of me, like when I sleep. So then it's like when I wake up, the first thing I see is the reflection.
I don't like
And
that. No, I don't like mirrors in general. I'm like weirdly superstitious about that.
no, so something about him, man. Well, I mean, I think we could talk about our fears about mirrors next
Yep.
episode. But what's it
Spooky
called?
shit part 2.
I still have I still sleep with a dream catcher because I think nightmares, you know, still kind of follow me, and so I'm a believer in that. I don't know. I know dream catchers is like a teenager thing, but
I don't think
yo,
those
man,
work because I had
So.
3 of them. I had 3 of them when I was younger, and I still had regular nightmares. So I don't. I it's like a Brita filter thing, and those 3 were just too full of nightmares to catch any more of them, or what it was. But I don't know. I still, even with the added protection, I still those did not work for me.
man, you just broke the illusion for me. Now I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
You
Damn.
son of a bitch.
I'm
Jake.
sorry. Well, no, just go out and get a Replace
Need
your
it for,
replace
yeah,
your dream
replace
catcher your dream catcher filter. It'll be good.
I'll try. But yeah,
Replace
no,
it
that,
regularly. You'd be surprised what you find if you look into that.
I'll be wondering. But yeah, no. Just want to say thank you guys again for having me on. I feel like I'm gonna look for that video so I can share it with y'all, and maybe
Yeah,
you guys
please
can do
do.
a
Oh,
reaction
yeah.
to it.
We're starting to
Yeah.
do more YouTube exclusive stuff. So when this ends up on YouTube, I'll just throw that video like up as we're talking about it. If you can find
Oh damn,
it.
you guys are
Yeah.
doing like the video now? Oh shoot.
We're starting to do that.
We're starting to do it. Yeah, I haven't been good about.
Yeah,
keeping up
if
with
someone
uploading it.
would remember to post it on YouTube.
There's things that I do in this life, and there's the things that I should be doing in this life.
I have no room to talk. I've relinquished all responsibility for the podcast other than showing up. I don't edit it. I don't do shit anymore. But yeah.
True,
I got
folks.
you.
But yeah, thank
But-
you so much for coming on again, man.
Thanks,
We
man.
love talking to you. You're one of our favorite guests. Like anytime.
If
We'd
you
love to
weren't
have you
on the
back.
West Coast, we'd probably ask you on more, honestly. Like, if it wasn't this thing where it's like, oh, fuck, I gotta stay up extra late tonight to record with you, like, we'd probably try to have you on every other week.
Well, you guys
would
should
force you on.
what's that?
It would force you on.
Yeah, we would come get you and make
We
you.
would come get you.
Well, I mean, if you guys think what I have to say is interesting, then you know I'm down to come through. Right now is the best time in the summer because I'm not on my regular work schedule. I'm actually off work a little bit earlier nowadays, so yeah, I think I could do something maybe even like 8 p.m. your time. So that's
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We gotta do another. We'll do a spooky episode part 2.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
would always be spooky.
It was just
I mean,
doing
we talked about a lot of things today. The
Yeah.
supernatural episode.
Thank you so
But
much
yeah.
for coming on, though. Do you want to do your plugs? Tell us where people can find you.
Oh yeah, for sure. What's it called? So 34 Questions podcast. Just Google 34 Questions. But you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Really, a bunch of podcasting platforms, iHeart, and all the other good stuff. So please check it out. I've been doing live releases. Probably too late for you guys because it is 7 or 8 p.m. my time or 7 p.m. On IG Live at 34 Questions every Monday. It's not live yet. It's like pre-recorded episodes that I play, but you know, people, that's regular TV.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's
gonna do
actually
that.
really smart.
So
That's a great idea.
That's 7 p.m. your time.
7 p.m. Yeah, West Coast time.
Alright.
So 10 p.m. for everybody in the East Coast. But yeah, I just play episodes. You could interact with me there. Hopefully interact with my guests if they can make it to the premiere too. So premieres on IG and YouTube Mondays 7 p.m. for now until I figure out to do it another day. I don't know. What do you guys think? Mondays or Sundays? Because people have been kind of split about that.
Hmm.
I'm in the Monday camp. I like the idea of being able to start my week off with some content that I can
I think
come
Monday's
back to
the
throughout
better
the week.
one.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday is the Lord's Day after all. So.
None of us should be working on the Lord's Day.
Exactly.
It's the Sabbath. What are we doing?
It's the Sabbath.
Well, word. Thanks again for coming on. Do we have any other plugs from anyone else in here? Jacob, you?
Not really.
Just shut up, Jacob. So check out the Watch podcast, which will come back from hiatus at some point. Check out the Instagram for the Buttery Mails. Check us out on Twitter. Just check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcast, basically anywhere you can find anything. Yas, I think. Oh, and you got something 34?
Yeah, I got one more thing to
Okay.
plug in. But want me to go ahead and do it right
No,
now?
go for it, yeah.
yeah.
So if you like the supernatural stuff, you guys should definitely check out my episode with Flora the Psychic. She's somebody that gave me a reading at some point. She's a Reiki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but yeah, one of those people. But she goes into like having a dream about her daughter before she was born, and had like this whole conversation, so she knew what kind of person she was going to be like when she was born and everything. And then talked about like when she was a little girl, she was in a house where she saw spirits like regularly, and like for her it was like growing up with them around, you know. So you know, not everybody believes in it, but I like to give people, you know, that space to live their truth. And for me, you know, being a light spirit, I'm like, why not? Who am I to say that didn't really happen? But so check out that one, Flora the Psychic, FLOR. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Check out that episode of 34 Questions. Check out our episodes on 34 Questions. And as per always, tell your friends about us. You know, if there's an episode of our podcast you like, or if you went, because I know some of our listeners went and checked out your podcast. If you like anything on 34 Questions, you like any Buttery Mails episodes, just send them out to people. You don't have to pitch them. You don't have to tell them like I'm gonna come find you if you don't listen. Like, send them out to people. You know, you never know.
So we don't have to do that because that's what I've been doing.
Listen, you might end up finding out that you and your friends, like we were just in a Discord earlier where
I think I've lost.
yeah,
All right,
people
wrap it up,
listener.
bro. Wrap
All
this
right.
shit up.
I've lost a couple of friends from that aggressive approach, and now that I'm hearing that
I know
don't
we
have
all
to do
have.
This,
Listen, just
this is kind of
tell your
making
friends
me
about
upset with you, Rob.
And this is just a pyramid scheme, you know?
Ultimately, yeah, that's a pyramid scheme. So yeah, tell your friends about us. Sign up for our nutritional kits that are $79.95. You pay $55.95, and yeah. All right, have a good night, everyone. Thanks for checking us out.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.